Hi Alicia, this is Becky. I thought it'd be easier to critique your portrait for lightness and video rather than trying to write it out. The one thing I'd like to talk about is the eyes, because when you look at this study photo, you notice that her eyes are looking upward. How do we know that? By looking at the details? Well, for one thing, we can see that there is space beneath the eye here on the study photo. Also, you might notice that her eyelids, you can see very little of this eyelid in this area. It's almost concealed. And on this side, she's looking up. You can see that her upper eyelid is concealed completely. Part of her iris is up underneath her eye there. And likewise, over here, there is a space where you see the white of her eye underneath. The focus on your portrait is not looking up. And why is that? Well, for one thing, let's look at this eye first. Let's first of all look at the shape of the overall shape of the eye. And I have put it on a large grid. These are 1 inch squares. I'm not saying that this photo study is exactly the same size as that. So I can't really measure it accurately, because although I tried to print it out as close as I could, I can't be guaranteed that it's correct. But notice just I placed a corner here in the tear duct area of her eye, and you notice that it goes straight across over to the outer corner of her eye. So on this eye, both are on the same plane. If you go up here to your portrait, I've placed likewise a corner in the tear duct area. But if you follow it across, do you see the corner of your eye is up here rather than on the line? So this is actually something that you can still do. You need to bring this down some and then this on down. And that will help give the eye a more correct shape. This will come in here, that'll come down there. So that is one thing that's different. Hers are more of an almond shape and yours was up here. What's the other differences? Well, as we pointed out, this iris is there's very little of it underneath her upper eyelid. It is pretty much a perfect circle. But you notice how her upper eyelid, it comes to very, very slim right there. It comes there, very slim, and then it comes on out here. And you see how yours is pretty much the same size all the way across there, isn't it? This is something you probably cannot change. Let me see if I jerked it. Camera. Try to get this refocused. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Alright, so in other words, this would be more like come across there and that. Not exactly, I'm just drawing it. But you see what I mean? This area here was very slim there, and it comes on back out. There's an interesting thing if you take a pair of calipers. Now, I'm not going to compare this to this and this to this because I don't know if these are the same size. But let's compare the size of the iris in both of the eyes on the study photo. measure the height from the bottom to where it goes under the lid. And it's right about that, okay? Let's take it over here and put it there. And you see that part of her iris then is underneath this lid, upper lid. And you can tell also because the distance from the pupil to the bottom of the iris is that much, and the distance, so part of her iris is hiding underneath there, whereas almost all of it is showing here. Same size. Do you see that? That makes a difference. On your portrait, and it's going to be hard to measure because I've been drawing here now, haven't I? Okay, but your portrait, the iris is about this size. I'm going to take it over here. It's the same size. So see, actually, the iris on this side should have gone upward, so that part of it would be concealed under here, and then you would have more space under here. And that would have the effect of sending the focus of the eye upward. Does that make sense? Hope so. One other thing, and it's very slight, is you'll notice the shape of the white comes up quite a bit into this area. Now I've concealed it on here because I've drawn, but it doesn't curve quite as much in there. And on the other side, this curves in less because part of that iris is up under here, and yours curves a little too much. Actually, this entire iris is too large. If you compare on the grid from the line here up to here is about half of one of these grid spaces. On here, it's about half of one. So these two are about the same size. But notice the difference here. The line goes across at the bottom of the iris, and you see how your iris goes way below there. So if your iris had been located more about like this, then part of that would have been underneath her eyelid, and this would not be so low. And I think that it appears that the bottom lid dips down a little too much. It is a little straighter here. So hopefully next time that'll help a little bit. The shading also makes a big difference in receding the sides of the face and getting the. Notice here, she has quite a bit of shading, dark shading in there, and it's not nearly so dark. It's about the same value. Notice also here, see the amount of shading there? If that was shaded there, that would tend to narrow her face and curve it there. Some shading here also. And remember, this indicates the bone structure. It's very important having that there. Her nose.